In this video, I'm going to share with you all you need to know about Scrum Masters. Who are those people, what they do, and how to become one if you want to grow as an Agile practitioner. Coming up. Hey guys, Ari here, and one of the most frequent questions people ask me recently is, what is Scrum Master? Is that a fancy new name for a project manager? Well, that's a good question, and I'm excited to dive in and share with you everything I know about being a Scrum Master and how it helps businesses I work with become better. Now, the generic answer would be like that. Scrum Master is a role in a team and organization, and it embodies 6 stances. 6. Previously it was 8, but let's talk about that later. So those stances are teacher, impediment remover, coach, mentor, facilitator, and change agent. Previously, people were talking about 2 more stances, servant leader and the manager. But now we consider that those 2 stances are included into previous 6. There is also a definition from Scrum Guide, and it sounds like that. First of all, Scrum Master is accountable for establishing Scrum as defined in the Scrum Guide, using different approaches to help everyone understand Scrum theory and practice on both Scrum team and the organization levels. Also, Scrum Masters are accountable for the Scrum team's effectiveness. They're helping teams improve their practices within the Scrum framework, engineering, communication, and stuff like that. So, in general, Scrum Masters serve Scrum team, product owner, and the organization on their way to delivering value to the customer using an empirical approach. Well, as you can see, sometimes it looks fluffy and fuzzy and counterintuitive to people. So let's dive in and take a closer look at those stances. So let's start with the teacher. As a teacher, Scrum Master explains Scrum as a means to work empirically. What does it mean? So it's all about how artifacts, events, accountabilities, and principles promote empiricism and agility. As a teacher, Scrum Master guides the team back to agile principles and practices when they stray. The best Scrum Masters use teaching as directed discovery rather than presenting the facts. It's some kind of exploration with the Scrum Master as a guide. The most important part here is to teach the purpose of Scrum and its underlying principles and values. The best recommendation for Scrum Masters here is try teaching without using Scrum terminology and answers like, because Scrum Guide says so. The next stance is impediment remover. First of all, let's understand what are impediments and what should be removed. Impediment is something that blocks the team's progress towards achieving sprint or product goal and cannot be resolved on their own, for now. Types of impediments. Understanding of Scrum and the Scrum team formation, technology issues, value chain issues as an example of internal impediments, processes or organizational level issues, career path, budgeting, etc. Impediment remover tries to increase the team's ability to resolve problems on their own. Most of the time, in my experience, teams didn't know how to remove impediments by themselves, without external help, without my help. But over time, after some iterations, like after me showing them some approaches, what to do with this type of problems, they got the point. They usually got the point, and and after that, they started working on their own, and that's the point, to teach the team how to overcome those obstacles without anyone. The more experienced team becomes, the more time Scrum Master spends not helping the team with their internal problems, internal impediments, but on the organizational level, with removing organizational level impediments. The trick here, sometimes engineers think that that's a Scrum Master's duty to help them remove all those impediments, and they don't need to involve in this process. That's not true, and it's very important to make some agreement with the team. Guys, you have to learn how to remove impediments by yourself without me, because I don't have to do this all the time. Be aware of it. Moving on to coach. As a coach, Scrum Master supports the team growth by asking the right questions and drawing attention to the reasons for an empirical process. Scrum Masters are usually coaching on 3 levels: individual level, Scrum team level, and the organization level. On the individual team members level, Scrum Masters are usually coaching people with a focus on mindset and behavior. On the Scrum team level, Scrum Master is usually coaching about continuous improvement. And when it comes to organization level, Scrum Masters are usually coaching about effective collaboration of the organization with Scrum teams. Coaching is not about tips and tricks. It's more about supporting to come up with their own solutions. It works through asking the right questions in the right moment. Well, in other words, it's more about helping people to learn rather than teaching them. What about the time of coaching? Well, the most obvious time to coach is probably Scrum events. Scrum Masters are always trying to create situations where it's possible to start coaching or get requests for coaching. And let's move on with mentor. Mentor helps the team grow through mentorship or finding suitable mentor for them. Mentor is not equal to coach, because coaches are based on experience and knowledge of coachee, and mentor draws from own experience and knowledge and helps mentee learn from it. Scrum Masters cannot be the best mentors for everyone, but they could recognize the best mentor-mentee pairs and help them match, or at least meet each other. You can use liberating structures like UX Fishbowl, Wise Crowds, or Conversation Cafe to spark mentorship within your teams. So Scrum Master doesn't necessarily should be a mentor for the person in the team. Scrum Master can recognize which person in the team can be a mentor to some other person in the team and help them just connect or start their mentorship. Finding the right mentor is crucial for the team members' professional growth. So I would say that mentorship is one of the most important parts of being a Scrum Master. So the next stance is Facilitator. As a facilitator, Scrum Master facilitates empiricism across the entire organization and inside Scrum teams. People usually think that facilitation is all about facilitating events. But it's important to understand that facilitation goes beyond Scrum events. Scrum teams just become able to facilitate their events without you, just by themselves. And that's an element of self-organization, which you should embrace in your teams. So, if not facilitating events, what Scrum Master does as a facilitator? It all begins with the right questions Scrum Masters should ask themselves. For example, what should I make visible today? Or how can I support the team with effective inspection? Or how can I help the team turn inspection into adaptation? So asking all those questions help Scrum Master find the right points for putting the efforts and helping the team move forward. It's very important to understand that trust is a foundation for empiricism. Without trust, people cannot be open, cannot make their work transparent. People are not going to share their vulnerabilities or problems they notice if they don't have trust inside the team. So as a Scrum Master, you have to build trust inside the team first and then facilitate the rest of the empirical process steps: transparency, inspection, and adaptation. So that's why you as a Scrum Master have to have courage to remove unnecessary people from retro, for example, or encourage open discussions and feedbacks during the sprint review, or make your sprint planning a place for creating a really meaningful sprint goal, able to draw focus and give tangible results in the end. All those efforts are a foundation for trust, which in turn is a foundation for empirical approach, for transparency, inspection, adaptation. Remember that. And when it comes to the tactical level of facilitation on the everyday events level, it's pretty common thing. Scrum Masters help him to set the stage and provide clear boundaries in which the team can collaborate to discuss their ideas. And remember, Scrum Master should always facilitate with Scrum values in mind, as this helps build trust. And the last but not least, change agent. As a change agent, Scrum Master helps the organization as a whole to work more effectively with Scrum. Scrum Masters are in a good position to communicate the need of change from the team level to the top management level, because Scrum Masters are spending every working day in the trenches with their teams. So they know what they really need, how they really work, and how they actually create the customer value. In other words, Scrum Masters show the necessary leadership to influence the organizational system from the perspective of the Scrum team. But you have to understand that to change something on the organizational level, you have to become visible. You are going to fight the status quo. People have to see you as a person professional enough to give them recommendations about what should be changed and how should it work in a new way. Leading change, it's not like just a stance. It's not a profession. It's an attitude. Scrum is making bottlenecks and problems visible, but it's not enough to make those visible. You have to suggest some solutions to their problems or facilitate people to get together and find this solution. The ultimate goal here is to make changes a part of the new culture in the company. So think about it as a final point of your journey. Now, let's talk about those two stances. Manager. The main reason why manager is not considered a Scrum Master stance anymore, that's because it triggers a lot of confusion, which is just not helpful. People noticed that the term manager doesn't bring a desired impact to the team, and some people even started thinking about themselves as some kind of team captains, team leaders, and even though they are Scrum Masters, they use the approach Scrum Master is a manager as a reason to build a vertical hierarchy inside the team and to the organization level. So to avoid this confusion, it's better to think that manager is not a stance of Scrum Master anymore. Speaking of servant leader, well, you cannot say that as a servant leader, Scrum Master is like fulfilling this stance time after time. In the real world, Scrum Master is always shows the servant leadership attitude. The trick is that you teach, facilitate, coach, mentor, remove impediments, and spark change because you are a servant leader. So, as you can see, Scrum Masters and project managers are pretty different. First of all, the difference is that Scrum Master is a powerless role. It means that Scrum Master doesn't have an administrative authority to change to do something. I don't know, maybe hire or fire people or make other administrative decisions. So it means that Scrum Master has to use other tools to achieve goals. I mean, Scrum Master's professional goals. So, for example, Scrum Master has to empower people instead of making them do something. Scrum Master has to involve people into changes without any forcing people doing something. So that's the difference. And there's also one more very important thing in Scrum Master's job. It's so-called Scrum Master's lifecycle. Let's dive deeper into it. Briefly speaking, Scrum Master's life cycle is all about the idea that Scrum Master has to live. The whole idea here is that every Scrum Master walks through the certain stages while working with a team. For example, Scrum Master joins the organization, starts working with a team, helps them overcome obstacles in their work, helps them grow, helps them become mature, helps resolve conflicts, helps them become better. And at some point, good Scrum Masters can see that the team doesn't need them anymore. So that means that Scrum Master can switch focus to another team or to the organization level. So the team can just work as a self-organized team. That's the point here. In other words, good Scrum Master can always see the right moment when it's better to leave and let the team set sail by themselves. Well, as you can see, Scrum Master's role is not so primitive as some people think. I don't think that any student, as some people say, can serve as a good Scrum Master for the team and for the organization. Being a Scrum Master needs a lot of experience, a lot of background, a lot of things that Scrum Masters went through. So the best thing here would be either grow inside the organization, so work in a different role and then become a Scrum Master, or try yourself as a Scrum Master in a different organization and grow step by step. All right, what's next? I would strongly recommend you to go through the links I'm gonna post in the description below and actually try yourself as a Scrum Master. Read books, read articles, go through some kind of dry run tests for example, for Scrum Master certification exam. Try a couple courses, maybe from different Scrum trainers across the world. Think about Scale Scrum, because Scale Scrum is actually the only thing right now which works in the real world, because modern products cannot be built with a single team. It's always about involving a lot of teams. So single team Scrum is not about your real life job, but it's a good foundation. And you have to know basics about single team Scrum to be better at multi-team Scrum. My personal preference here is large scale Scrum, which is also known as LESS. So I would strongly recommend you to dive deeper into it. And for those of you who is interested in moving on in this profession, I'm gonna make a couple videos over here, and those videos are your next steps in your professional development. Thanks for watching. See you there.